Welcome back, everyone. Before we dive in, be sure to drop your thoughts, feelings, and lessons in the comments below. Like the video and subscribe so you never miss stories like this. Let's get into it. The cruelest thing Janelle Brooks ever did was let her family laugh at me while I stood at her cookout with an engagement ring in my pocket. Then watch her cousin call me the wrong name, go dead quiet, and still try to blame me for noticing. She didn't defend me. She didn't correct him. She smiled like I was the problem for asking a simple question. Who's Marcus? Here's how it happened. My name is Elijah Grant. I'm a black man, late 20s, steady in my skin. I work in IT, systems, tickets, outages, security patches, quiet wins nobody claps for. Janelle is a black woman with presence, a polished HR manager who can turn charm on like a light switch. We were dating a little over a year, and on paper, we made sense. Her people skills and my calm, her ambition and my stability. In real life, the disrespect arrived slowly, dressed like jokes. In the beginning, Janelle felt like a warm place to land. She'd call on her lunch break just to ask about my day, and she'd actually listen. She'd send me selfies from her car with that playful caption, "Don't forget you my favorite." We'd cook together in my apartment in Silver Spring, music low, her dancing barefoot in my kitchen while I pretended not to watch. She'd steal my hoodies, spray her perfume on them like she was marking territory, then smile when I complained. Those months were easy. That's what made everything after feel like whiplash. The first crack wasn't loud. It was a tiny moment in Arlington at a small brunch spot. The server mixed up our order and brought her the wrong omelet. Janelle's smile stayed, but her tone turned sharp. "So you just don't listen," she said, like the woman was a child. I watched the server's face fall. I said gently, "It's okay. We could just fix it." Janelle glanced at me like I'd embarrassed her by being kind. On the way out, I said, "You didn't have to talk to her like that." Janelle didn't apologize. She shrugged. It's called standards. A few weeks later, she was late to dinner at National Harbor. 40 minutes, no call, no warning, just silence. I texted twice. "You good? Is everything okay?" When she finally walked in, she didn't look flustered or sorry. She looked annoyed that I was sitting there. "Why are you making that face?" she asked, sliding into the booth. I said I was worried. She waved her hand. "I'm here now." I asked for an apology calmly. She leaned back and smiled like she was winning something. "I'm not apologizing for having a life, Elijah." I remember staring at the candle between us, watching it flicker, wondering how someone could turn basic courtesy into an argument. I wasn't raised like that. If I'm late, I say sorry. If I hurt someone, I own it. Janelle didn't own anything. She reframed. She redirected. She made it sound like my request was needy. "You always want reassurance," she said. "You're too sensitive." I didn't raise my voice. I just said, "Respect isn't reassurance." She laughed once, short, dismissive. "Okay, therapist." After that, the pattern started. Small disrespect, then the cleanup. A cute smile, a kiss, a joke. If I reacted, I was dramatic. If I didn't, she pushed harder. Janelle liked testing limits, the way some people tap glass to see if it's real. She'd make a comment, watch my eyes, then decide how far she could go next time. I didn't fully clock it at first, because I was still living in the memory of the good version of her. That's how people get you, by leaving the old sweetness in the room like perfume. One night in Hyattsville, we were on my couch watching a show, her legs across my lap, and my phone lit up with a Teams message. It was my coworker, Tasha. "Can you review this ticket when you get a second?" Janelle's head lifted immediately. Her eyes narrowed. "Who's that?" she asked. I said, "My coworker." She didn't accept that. She smirked like she caught a lie. "That's what y'all always say." I looked at her. "Are you accusing me of something?" She shrugged, casual as weather. "If it walks like it and talks like it. So, because a woman works with me, I'm guilty?" I asked. Janelle rolled her eyes. "You're doing too much. It's just weird." I stayed calm. "You don't get to throw accusations at me with no proof." She sat up, irritated now. "Why are you so defensive?" That question was a trap. If I defended myself, it proved guilt. If I didn't, it proved she was right. I chose option 3. I said, "I'm not defensive. I'm paying attention." Janelle laughed. "Okay, FBI. She started interrupting me whenever I tried to talk about anything serious. If I mentioned a boundary, she cut in. If I asked for clarity, she called it an interrogation. When I said, "I don't like being accused," she said, "then stop acting suspicious." I'd ask what I did that was suspicious. She'd answer with nothing, just vibes. "It's your energy," she'd say. "You act like you got something to hide." Then she'd smirk, like she enjoyed watching me try to reason with fog. I'm an IT guy. I like logs, evidence, and causes. Janelle lived in feelings she could weaponize. Around month 6, she started talking down on my work like it was beneath her. We were driving through DC after she'd had a great day at work, telling me about an employee issue she handled perfectly. I told her I was working toward a cloud cert, something I'd been studying nights for. She made a face. "That's cute," she said. Cute. Like I was a kid showing her a crayon drawing. I said, "It'll increase my salary." She shrugged. "If you say so." Then, with a little laugh, "I just don't want to be the only ambitious one in this relationship." That one hit, not because it was true, but because of how comfortable she was saying it. I pay my bills. I'm consistent. I'm building. But because I don't brag, she treated my progress like it didn't count. That night, I told her, "Don't belittle my goals." Janelle leaned toward me at a red light, eyes bright with fake innocence. "I'm not belittling. I'm motivated," I said. "Motivation doesn't sound like disrespect." She smiled. "You hear disrespect because you're insecure." The first time she embarrassed me in front of people, she did it with a laugh so everybody else could join in. We went to brunch with her friends in Hyattsville, 2 couples, mimosas, loud opinions. One friend asked what I do, and I said, "IT." Before I could finish, Janelle jumped in. "He fixes Wi-Fi," she said, laughing. "Like, if your internet goes out, Elijah's your man." I smiled politely. "I do network security and system support." Janelle waved her hand. "Same thing." Then she added, "He's very safe." Everybody laughed at safe, like it meant boring. I looked at the table and said nothing. Janelle noticed my silence and squeezed my thigh under the table, a signal to play along. Later in the car, I said, "Don't reduce me like that." She sighed like I was exhausted. "It was a joke." I said, "It didn't feel like a joke." She turned to me with that HR voice, calm, patronizing. "Elijah, you take things too personal. You need to lighten up. Man up." That phrase, "man up," became her favorite way to erase my feelings. If I said something hurtful, she'd say, "Man up." If I asked for respect, she'd say, "Man up." Like being a man meant being a punching bag who pays bills quietly and smiles while people throw stones. The next time she used it, I answered softly, "Being a man isn't being numb." Janelle smirked. "You always got a quote. You should start a podcast." She also began canceling plans last minute like my time was optional. We had a date night planned, tickets, reservations, the whole thing. 2 hours before, she texted, "Can't make it." Something came up. No explanation. I called. She didn't answer. Later, she posted a story. At a rooftop bar in DC, laughing with friends. I stared at the screen, then set my phone down and ate the dinner I'd already cooked. When she called that night, I said calmly, "So what came up?" She paused. "Don't start," she said. I needed to unwind. "So you unwind by lying to me?" I asked. Janelle got quiet, then snapped. "Why are you acting like my father?" I wasn't acting like anything. I was asking for basic honesty. She turned it into control. That's what she did. She painted accountability as oppression, so she could keep doing what she wanted without consequences. And the craziest part was how quickly she could switch back into sweetness. "Babe," she said, soft now, "I don't want to fight. You know I love you." I said, "Love doesn't cancel people." The disrespect wasn't just between us anymore. She started sharing our private issues with her friends like it was group entertainment. I noticed her texting during arguments, thumbs flying, then her phone would light up with replies while I was still sitting there. One time, we argued because she accused me, again, of talking to somebody. I asked who. She said, "I'm not telling you because you'll just hide it better." Then she turned her phone toward herself and laughed at something. I asked, "Are you texting someone about me right now?" She didn't deny it. "I need advice," she said. Advice is one thing. Mockery is another. The next day, I saw it on social media. Her friend Kia posted, "Some men want princess treatment, but bring peasant effort." Janelle liked it. Not just liked, commented a crying laugh emoji. I sat with that for a long minute. When Janelle came over, I showed her my phone. "Why would you like this?" I asked. She didn't flinch. "Because it's funny." I said, "It's disrespectful." She smiled like she was teaching me. "You're proving the point by being mad." That's when I stopped arguing and started observing. In IT, when something keeps failing, you don't just restart it and hope. You watch patterns. You check what changes before the crash. You look for the root cause. Janelle's root cause was entitlement. She expected everything: time, attention, effort, while giving effort only when it benefited her image. She wanted me to show up for her family, her friends, her career stress, her drama. But when it was my turn to be seen, she rolled her eyes. The first time I met her family, her mother Denise was polite but cold, like she'd already decided I wasn't permanent. Her aunties were loud, funny, welcoming in that way aunties can be. Her cousin Dre acted like he was testing me, asking pointed questions with a grin. "So what do you do again?" he asked. "You got your own place?" He looked around my apartment like he was appraising it. Janelle sat beside me and laughed at his jokes, never once shutting him down. After they left, I said, "Your cousin's disrespectful." Janelle shrugged. "That's just Dre." "That's just Dre" became her excuse for any disrespect that came from her people. Like I was supposed to accept anything because of family. Dre would make comments about money. "Hope you can keep up with her." And Janelle would smile like it was cute. Once at a gathering in Largo, Dre joked, "Janelle likes a man with options and money." Then he looked at me and said, "No offense." I said, "Offense taken." Janelle's face tightened and she whispered, "Why are you so sensitive?" Not Dre, chill. Me. The more I got disrespected, the more Janelle acted like my reaction was the real issue. She'd criticize me publicly and call it honesty. She'd smirk when I was serious. She'd interrupt me mid-sentence and then act confused when I stopped talking. "Why are you quiet?" she'd ask. "You're doing that quiet man thing." I'd say, "Because you don't listen when I speak." She'd laugh. "See? You're punishing me." Everything I did was wrong because it wasn't worship. Meanwhile, she made big decisions without me and presented them like I should be grateful. She decided where we'd go for her birthday and told me the total price like it was a bill. "We're doing Miami," she said. "Flights are this, hotels are this." I asked, "When did you plan this?" She said, "Yesterday." Janelle expected me to instantly rearrange my schedule and finances. When I said I needed time to think, she scoffed. "So you can't provide?" Provide. That word, like love, was a performance review and my role was wallet. Then came a name calling during conflict, small, nasty names she could dismiss later. "You're pathetic," she said once during an argument, then looked shocked when my face went still. "I didn't mean it like that," she added quickly. "You know I'm talking." I nodded. Words matter. She rolled her eyes. "Here you go." Another time she said, "I could replace you," like it was a fact, not a threat. When I didn't beg, she got angry. "So you don't even care?" she demanded. I said, "I care. I just don't chase disrespect." That was the shift. I stopped trying to convince her to treat me right. I started asking myself why I was still here. And I started gathering information, not in a sneaky way, but in a quiet adult way. I paid attention to what she said, what she did, and what she avoided. Janelle avoided accountability like it was a contagious disease. She avoided clear answers. She avoided naming the truth. If I asked a direct question, she'd answer with a complaint about my tone. Classic deflection. Still, I love her enough to try one last time, with structure. I planned a sit-down conversation like I'd plan a project, goal, boundaries, action steps. I told her, I need respect in private and public. No more accusations without proof. No more canceling plans without honesty. No more sharing our issues with your friends. If there's a problem, bring it to me first. She listened with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. When I finished, she nodded slowly and said, "So, basically you wanted to walk on eggshells." That's what she heard. Not respect, but restriction. "No," I said. "I want partnership." Janelle sighed, then hit me with the soft knife. "Elijah, you're a good guy, but you're not." You're not that kind of man. I asked what kind. She shrugged. A man who leads. I almost laughed because I do lead. I just don't lead by yelling. I said, leadership isn't disrespect. Janelle smirked. You're always trying to sound deep. Despite all that, I was still planning to propose. Not because I was blind, because I believed commitment could anchor people. I believed, foolishly, that if I showed her I was serious, she'd stop playing games. I picked a ring that matched her taste. Simple, elegant, nothing flashy, real quality. I talked to her mother. Denise didn't smile, but she said, if that's what y'all want. I took that as permission. I chose the cookout because Janelle loved her family moments, pictures, laughter, the whole community vibe. I wanted to honor that. I didn't realize I was walking into a trap. The cookout was in Bowie, Maryland, at her aunt's house. Big backyard, smokers going, R&B playing from a speaker. Kids running around with popsicles. Men posted up near the grill like they were guarding it. Women in lawn chairs calling out jokes like they were commentators. I arrived with a bottle of something nice and a calm smile. Janelle looked gorgeous, sundress, gold hoops, hair laid. She kissed my cheek and said, loud enough for people to hear, my man came through. Then she whispered, don't embarrass me today. I should have heard the warning in that. For the first hour, I played my role. I greeted aunties, shook hands, and took compliments like a good guest. Dre appeared with that grin and a beer in his hand, acting like the mayor of disrespect. So you're still doing that little computer job? He asked. I smiled. Yes. He laughed. Okay. As long as you take care of her. Janelle laughed too, leaning into his joke like it was harmless. I stood there, steady, feeling the ring box like a secret in my pocket. Then Dre slapped my shoulder, looked me dead in my face, and said loudly, what's up, Marcus? You made it. The word landed like a drop plate. My name's Elijah. I corrected him calmly. It's Elijah. Dre's grin fell off. Not confusion, recognition. His eyes flicked past me to Janelle. His mouth opened, then closed. He went silent. The whole little circle around us changed energy. People looked away too fast. That's how you know something is real. I turned to Janelle. She was smiling, public smile, shiny and practiced. Babe, you okay? She asked like I was the one who'd done something wrong. I asked quietly, who's Marcus? Her smile twitched. She didn't answer. She said, not here. I said, it's a simple question. Janelle's eyes hardened while her mouth stayed sweet. Elijah, don't start. It's a cookout. That was her move. Minimize, control, shame me into silence. But I wasn't about to propose into confusion. I looked at Dre. If you call me Marcus, I said, calm and clear, that means Marcus is real. Dre swallowed. His girlfriend grabbed his arm and whispered harshly, why would you say that? That told me everything. This wasn't a random mistake. This was a slip, a name used enough times to live in his mouth. Janelle stepped closer, voice low. You're doing too much, she hissed. I didn't move. I'm doing the right amount, I said. I'm asking who Marcus is. Janelle's tone turned sharp under the sweetness. You want to do this in front of my family? Are you trying to embarrass me? I almost smiled. The audacity was impressive. She was the one with Marcus, and I was the villain for noticing. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the velvet box, not up like a proposal, just in my palm. Janelle's eyes widened so fast it looked like fear. She didn't care about my feelings. She cared about the moment, the optics, the image. Elijah, wait, she said, voice suddenly soft. I brought this for you, I said, steady. People around us leaned in like they could smell drama. A few aunties gasped. Somebody said, ah, then stopped. I watched Janelle's face, and for the first time in months, her control slipped. She looked nervous. She whispered, don't do this. I nodded slowly. I'm not doing anything, I said. I'm just not giving you this. Then I slid the box back into my pocket like I was putting away something dangerous. Janelle's smile shattered. Are you serious right now? She snapped, voice rising. Over a name? I looked at her. It's not the name. It's the person attached to it. She stepped toward me. You're insecure, she hissed. You always ruin things. I held her gaze. You ruined this the moment you let another man's name live around your family. Her mother Denise appeared, expression tight. What's going on? Janelle snapped. Nothing. Elijah is being dramatic. I said, I'm leaving. Denise stared. Dre stared at the ground. Janelle stared like she couldn't believe I would choose dignity over performance. I walked to my car with the same calm I use when a server goes down. No panic, just action. My hands didn't shake. My chest did, but I didn't show it. Behind me, I heard Janelle calling my name. Elijah. Elijah, come back. That tone wasn't love. It was a control slip. I got in, started the engine, and drove away while the cookout music kept playing like nothing happened. That's how disrespect works. It expects you to suffer quietly so everyone else can keep enjoying the party. That night, my phone blew up. Calls, texts, voice notes. Janelle cycled through emotions like she was flipping channels. Angry, you embarrass me. Crying, I can't believe you do this. Sweet, babe, please. Then angry again, you always do too much. I answered one call because I wanted the truth. She started with blame. You blindsided me, she said. I said, Dre called me Marcus, and went silent. Explain that. She paused too long. Then she said, it's not like that. So what is it like? I asked. Janelle sighed like she was tired of me asking questions. It's complicated. I stayed calm. Then uncomplicated. Who is Marcus? Another pause. Then the trickle of truth. He's someone I used to talk to. Used to, I said. So why does your cousin know his name? She snapped. Because I told him. I tell my family everything. That admission hit like ice water. She told them about him. Enough that his name got comfortable. Meanwhile, I was standing there with a ring like a fool. The more she talked, the worse it sounded. Marcus popped back up. She wasn't sure. She didn't want to put all her eggs in one basket. She said it like she was discussing job offers. I let her speak without interrupting. That's how you catch people. Let them talk. When she finished, I said one sentence. So you were going to let me propose while you were still entertaining an option. Janelle got quiet, then defensive. I didn't say I was entertaining. I said, you just described entertaining with extra words. Then she tried to flip it. You're not perfect either, she said. You're emotionally closed off. I almost laughed, but I didn't. I'm emotionally careful, I said. Because you punish honesty. Janelle scoffed. Whatever. You're mad because you can't control me. That was her favorite lie, turning boundaries into control. I said, I'm not trying to control you. I'm trying to choose what I accept. She went quiet again. So you're breaking up with me? She asked, like she couldn't believe the consequences were real. Yes, I said. No speech. No begging. No revenge rant. Just yes. Janelle's voice went cold. You're going to regret this. I asked calmly, is that a threat? She laughed. No, it's a promise. I can do better than you. I nodded even though she couldn't see me. Then go do it. That answer made her furious. Wow, she snapped. So you never loved me. I said, love doesn't survive disrespect. Then I ended the call. After that, I blocked her. Not out of anger, out of peace. Blocking isn't petty when it's protection. The next few days were quiet in a way that felt unfamiliar. I went to work. I fixed tickets. I joined meetings. I came home and sat in my apartment without her voice filling the space. At night, I replayed the cookout in my head and felt the embarrassment creep up. Then I reminded myself, the embarrassment wasn't that I brought a ring. The embarrassment was that she thought I'd still propose after seeing the truth. Janelle didn't leave me alone. She used new numbers. She messaged my friends. She even emailed me once with the subject line, let's talk like adults. I didn't respond. Because adults don't juggle options while accepting commitment. A week after the cookout, I ran into her friend Kia at a store in Landover. Kia looked uncomfortable, like she was carrying news she didn't want to deliver. Elijah, she said, I'm sorry. I nodded. For what? Kia hesitated. Janelle has been talking crazy about you. Crazy how? I asked. Kia sighed, like calling you soft, saying you were going to propose, and she dodged a bullet, saying you didn't have money like that. I stared at Kia calm. So she's proud. Kia shook her head. Not proud. Just Janelle. She always got to win. Then Kia lowered her voice. And she was venting at work too. That caught my attention. At work? Kia nodded. Like telling co-workers you were needy, controlling, all that. Here's the thing about HR managers. Their job depends on trust, discretion, professionalism. If you're the person people go to with sensitive issues, you can't be messy. Janelle was messy with a pretty filter. Kia told me Janelle had been laughing with co-workers about almost getting a ring out of an IT dude. She'd said it like I was a prize ticket she almost cashed. Kia looked guilty. I told her to chill, she said. But you know she doesn't listen. I nodded. She never does. I didn't ask for more. I didn't need it. I already knew who Janelle was when she felt entitled. The karma didn't come from me plotting. It came from her mouth finally meeting the consequences. What I heard later, through mutuals, not through her, was that she said something reckless in the wrong company. A coworker had been going through a real issue, and Janelle, trying to be funny, made a comment that sounded like she was mocking it. Not just about me. And apparently, somebody reported her for being unprofessional and for discussing private matters too casually. In any other department, that might be a slap on the wrist. In HR, it becomes a spotlight. Suddenly, Janelle